Are Panthers fans putting Xavier Legette under the same microscope as they did Jonathan Mingo? Let's talk about it. Hey folks, Carolina Dad, host of the Growls One Roar podcast. If you are here, please hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast show, please follow wherever you get your podcasts, and it is greatly appreciated. But folks, we got something to talk about. Number one, the surrounding here, not my normal Panthers man cave area, as I just got off a podcast recording, but I'm here to talk about business with the Carolina Panthers and the scrutiny that Jonathan Mingo went through last year. We talk a lot about Bryce Young, and he went through quite a bit, right? But he's national. He's the quarterback. He was the number one overall pick. People are always going to attach themselves to him, create a storyline around his success. The success of the team is going to be focused around him and his performance, his development, and hey, are they winning games? And it's going to be tied into Bryce Young. But one of the storylines is around Jonathan Mingo, second round pick, 39th, right? 39th overall pick. And coming out of college, I think there was a lot of hype initially. But when you go back and look at last year with Jonathan Mingo, I do feel like there is a different amount of pressure that was applied to Mingo than what is being applied to Xavier Legette. And I think it's actually a good thing for these guys. It's unfortunate for Mingo, in my opinion, that Mingo had to suffer and I think be more scrutinized than he should have been last year. I know he had some hits and some misses and didn't finish with fantastic stat line, but he wasn't terrible. But I think it was the lack of weapons around him that really just made it stand out. I think they were having him do more than he was really capable of. They put him in a position not to succeed, put him in an actual position as far as playing that really didn't suit his strengths on the field. And he had to go out there. There really wasn't a choice when you're supposed to be the second or third option. And people think that you're supposed to go out there and perform every single week and put up 1,000 yards on the season. That's not to say that he shouldn't, but it's weird coming into this year, from my view, looking at the way we looked at Jonathan Mingo and then now looking at the way we're looking at Xavier Legette. Because when you look at Xavier Legette, he's missed quite a bit of time all the way back in OTA's minicamp, battling an injury. We get into camp, he's battling an injury. He gets out there, the first preseason game that we actually get to see him, he drops a pass, still gets, praise from Coach Canales after the game, running really fast, great routes. The ball is going to find him, which I agree, the ball is going to eventually find him. But from a development standpoint, like if you go back and if you flip this and this was Xavier Legette last year in this development, comparing it to Jonathan Mingo, fans would be losing their minds. And there still may be fans that lose their minds over this. They still may be like, oh my gosh, I'm so upset that we are not seeing XL out there. Our first round pick, although we know borderline, like he was right at the end of the first round, but our first round pick is not getting playing time. I think there is validity in that thought process though. I'm saying it's different situations and it is different levels of scrutiny, but I do think fans should feel validation in saying, man, it'd be great if we actually got to see Xavier Legette. Is he going to hold up? And I do think he is. I think he's in a nice spot, though, because when we talk about touches, one of the things we haven't seen in the preseason is him in the return game as a kick returner, and we know that was a strength of his at South Carolina. So I think we may see that. Possibly, hey, just get him the ball early. That's what you need. Get him the ball early in space. And from there, I know he's not the greatest. I'm not saying he's a terrible route runner, but he's not lighting up routes out here like an Adam Thielen or whoever you want to chalk up. They're just different. He's not a route technician. He's big. He's fast. He can catch the ball. He can get in space and make things happen. So for me, I think it is unfortunate the way that we have this, but I also think it's beneficial for Xavier Legette and his development. And he has a Jonathan Mingo to lean on, to go back and look at last year and show him what he went through, what he experienced, and how he battled through some of the adversity and injuries that he faced. And hey, Maybe, hopefully, in a year from now, we've got a Mingo, and Xavier Legette, a Deontay Johnson. You draft someone else if you want it. You've got a pretty solid wide receiver group. You throw in a Jalen Coker as well, and or David Moore, and he's Amir Smith-Marset. I mean, I'm going through the whole wide receiver room, but the guys underneath them that develop and make this thing a pretty good offense for the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young. But that's my take. I'd love to hear yours. Until next time, see y'all.